So I want to take us to a passage in Genesis that at first sight seems extraordinarily bizarre and quite unfathomable, but again is this extraordinary key that opens the gospel to us. So this is from Genesis 15. It begins by the Lord saying to Abraham, who was Abram at that time, "Fear not, I am your shield, and your reward shall be great." So what we have here is the anticipation of a fresh reiteration of the covenant, of a covenant promise to Abram. And then he goes on, "And he said to him, Abram, I am the Lord who brought you out from Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess." But he said, "O Lord God, how am I to know that I shall possess it?" And he said to him, "Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." And he brought him all these, and he cut them in half, and he laid half against each other, but he did not cut the birds in half. And when the birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and behold, a dreadful and great darkness fell upon him. Then it says, and I'm going to cut to verse 17, "When the sun had gone down and it was dark, behold, a smoking pot and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your offspring I give this land." All really quite strange. We have carcasses and smoking pots and torches and Abram in a deep sleep. What on earth does it all mean? Well, in these days, if you are making a really serious and binding agreement or covenant with another person, the way that you would signify that agreement and its intentionality and its seriousness, its binding nature, would be at the end of coming to the agreement, you would take animals that were of value, hence these are all 3 years old, and you would cut them in half, and then each party to the agreement would walk between those cut animals and would say, "If I do not uphold my part of this covenant, may it be done unto me as has been done to them." So in a sense, it's kind of sealed in blood, both parties agreeing that if we don't uphold what we have agreed to this day, may it be done unto me as has been done unto these animals. Now this is where it gets really interesting, because the torch, the flaming torch, and the fire pot are both representations of the promise and the presence of God. So what we have in verse 17 is the Lord himself passing between these broken animals and saying, if you, Abraham, or Abram at that point, do not keep this covenant as has been done unto these animals, may it be done unto me. And if you notice, Abram is absolutely fully asleep, so he doesn't participate in this at all. So what you have here is God's unilateral commitment to his covenant based on his faithfulness to Abraham. This has nothing to do with Abraham's faithfulness. Abraham doesn't even get to walk down that line and make that profession. The Lord takes it entirely upon himself. And this speaks to the serious, unbreakable, binding nature of the agreement that the Lord is making. And in every sense, he is going to take the curse upon himself when we break it. He is going to do that. He is going to take the penalty of that sin upon himself, which is why when we get to 2 Corinthians 5 verse 21, in a sense we see the post-cross interpretation of what is going on here, because we here said God made him, that is Jesus, who had no sin, to be sin for us. As it is done to them, may it be done unto me if they break this covenant, so that we in him, in Jesus Christ, might become the righteousness of God. There is the Lord's unilateral fulfillment of that covenant on our behalf, that we might know his love and his mercy and his grace, be reconciled, be brought into his righteousness, and all by his efforts, all because of his faithfulness and not ours. And that is the gospel of Jesus Christ.